Good day, my name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to this edition of The Living Legends. And today, on the day that, as we celebrate the life of former President Mwaikibaki, we get to speak to a man who was in university with him, not just at Makerere, but also at the London School of Economics. They worked together in KANU as executive officers, with former President Kibaki as a national executive officer and him serving in Kakamega district as it was known then. And later they were together in cabinet and he got an appointment to head one of Kenya's sugar farms. And this evening we speak with the Honorable Ambassador Burudi Nabwera. Balozi, let's start this conversation with how you got to meet former President Mwaikibaki when you joined Makerere University in 1950.
Yes, thank you very much, and that you come that we talk about my very good friend and old comrade, President Kibaki. When I entered Makerere in 1950, President Kibaki had been there for 1 year, so we were together for part of the time. And I came to know him when we were at Makerere. And Makerere Kenyan students, we were not very many, but we knew each other and we used to work as a team. After he finished his degree at Makerere, because it was the first group, I think he was in the first group that it was started doing the London degrees at Makerere.
After Makerere, a twist of fate going your way, and you both joined the London School of Economics. He studies public finance, you study something different.
At the London School of Economics, he was doing very well. He was doing very well, and I think that the President Kibaki is a very clever person. He didn't apply much effort. He didn't do much reading. But he was just somebody will say naturally clever, and he did whatever he was doing, whatever he was reading. He didn't do with a lot of effort.
Then coming back to around 1960, as the clamor for independence was growing, you were called up to work for the party that was known as the Kenya African National Union. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and James Gishuru were at the helm of the party then. And as executive officers, what is this that came to you and the call that allowed you to serve your nation then?
I think for Kibaki, and to a certain extent for me, it was, we were moving towards independence, and we were sort of misfits, because you have like when I came back from England after I'd finished my studies, I was a misfit, because the district commissioner told his special branch people to be very careful about me, because they had some strange ideas, he felt, and they should keep me under very close observation to see what I was doing. So we came back as suspects, and that is why it was for Kibaki it was a big sacrifice, because he had a great future in the intellectual world. He would have been a professor of economics, maybe a big specialist on African. So when for him to have very willingly and very quickly accepted Jaramogi's advice that he needed him in Nairobi, and he was coming when he didn't know who was going to pay him. That even did not occur to him. You just went and you are told, take care of this situation. And similarly, when I came back, Jaramogi took me to Mzee had then returned, and I said, this one is now going to be the executive officer for Kakamega. So we were appointed to different districts.
1991, it's Christmas Day, and two things happened. Peter Oloaringo is sacked as education minister, but the big announcement by former President Mwaikibaki, how was that received?
I didn't even expect him to quit. I don't know. It's something that had been planned very carefully. And it was about Christmas when he announced. And nobody, and not a very long time ago, he had said that if you think of fighting KANU, it's like cutting mgomo with a razor blade, you know. He had said that, and yet soon after that, it didn't take much time. We must have been planning this thing over a period, and it must be something that has been very well kept to a very few friends. But I didn't expect him to quit. I was surprised.
In 2002, President Mwaikibaki was elected president. 2003, all the way up to 2013. What was his approach to the management of the civil service, and more particularly, public financial management?
As I say, I don't see any magic that the president applied, except using a lot of common sense. That he looked at the problem, he looked at the country, the economy was doing bad. He looked in it, and it will be like you are holding an ordinary conversation with him. That is the way he would have talked. Why don't we do it this way and this way and this way and that? And then you get in. And as I say, as I was trying to explain to you in the house, that he found that the economy was in bad shape, and he found that we were spending much more than we were earning. And how do you fix that? Control expenditure. And how do you help the companies, government companies that have collapsed, see how they can internally generate money to be revived on their own? And for the sugar industry, this is what he did.
Former President Kibaki appointed you to chair the board of Nzoia Sugar Factory, and tell us what your role was as required by the former president in reviving this production plant and ensuring there was a growing sugar economy.
Kibaki, looking at what had happened in 1980, I think, for the sugar industry, he found that it was a very easy matter. And he went further than that by using the money that was already in the Kenya Sugar Board. But for taxation, he just used his economic theory on how to develop a young country. What do you do to develop what to develop a poor country?
And as we close, what would be the message that you would like any person who's in public finance to know when it comes to handling the economy of a country like Kenya's?
I think what we should have learned, and what the future leaders should do, is to try and see how President Kibaki handled the economy. Let's manage our economy in such a way that we are able to live within our means. So what we should do now, rather than going for the blame game, let's hope that the new president whom we are going to elect will say, let me see how the past has treated us, and let every Kenyan go the same way, that we look at our economy. It can be done. It can be done. We do the Kibaki trick.
The Honorable Ambassador Burudi Nabwera, thank you very much for giving us your time today. as we celebrate the life of former President Mwaikibaki. We have been speaking with the Honorable Ambassador Burudi Nabwera. He is one of the pioneering Kenyan diplomats. He was posted to the United States and the United Nations when Kenya gained independence. And he was a university student at the same time that former President Mwaikibaki was at Makerere and at the London School of Economics. They worked together in public service, in government, and made sure that this country grew. As we celebrate the life of former President Mwaikibaki, we would also like to thank the Honorable Ambassador Burudi Nabwera for giving us our insights into the late Mwaikibaki. My name is Daniel Wahome. Thank you for joining us on the Living Legends.